recorded and broadcast live over Lunenburg PAC channels, Facebook Live, and on public access. Will be able to be found on Lunenburg Access YouTube within 24 hours of the meeting. This meeting of the Sewer Commission is being held in person at the Town Hall. Members of the public are welcome to this meeting. One thing I like to do is start with public announcements. First thing I like to say is I want to say thank you to Mike from D&G Graphics for our nameplates. As you can see, we all have new nameplates. And before we do that, I'd just like to say it's been a year and a few months that we've been here live. And as you can see, there's new members, and I just want to take a quick moment to introduce who we have. From the last Sewer Commission, we've kind of completely changed. So over to my left is our new DPW Director, Rob Oliver. He's been a great asset to the town, and we love working with Rob. And I'm going to let everybody else introduce themselves down the board, so go ahead, Mike.
I'm Mike DeVakis.
Hello, Lunenburg. I'm Mike Knoll.
John Reynolds.
Brett Ramsden.
And I just want to say that it's a pleasure for me, and I'm very proud to work with everyone that's sitting here next to us. We have a good commission, and we're looking to shake it and make it a little bit, and hopefully work with our clients and our customers. As for announcements, I'm going to give it to, I'm going to handle this announcement, Rob. The meetings here tonight is our first one, like I said, in a year and a half. And we decided to go live tonight. And we're going to be going live at the last meeting of every Tuesday from here on in, just like we used to do before. Our start time is at 6 p.m., but we're going to do that for one, we want to be here. We want to get back to normal. But we also understand that this has been a tough time for some people. So what we're going to do on our first meeting of the month is that we're going to be having our meeting on Zoom, just like we have. We're going to continue that for the next year, probably until next April, as the new state guidelines gave us permission to do. And the reason for that is that we still want participation from the public, but we also understand that some public may not want to come in, so we are going to be able to do that. So starting this month, our next meeting will be the second Tuesday of the month, will be via Zoom, and the meeting after that will be live in person here. So with that, do we have any public comment from the board? Anybody?
Nope.
Rob?
I have no comment.
Any public comment from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to give it to Rob, and Rob, let's go with our first appointment.
So at 6 o'clock, we have Wes Fliss from Whitman and Bingham and Don Dobeck, the applicant for a sewer extension request.
Wesley Fliss, Whitman and Bingham Associates, Don Dobeck Sr., who is the applicant or the developer on this project. And so what we're in front of you tonight is for a draft plan that we had done for sewer extension. What I did is I gave you the tabletop versions of the plans. And so what we're looking at doing is to run the sewer extension about 939 feet up Pond Street from the intersection of Pond Street and Prospect Street at the Rotary over near the Whalen Park development. The intent here is to service the single lot at the corner of Hollis and Kimball at the northwest corner on the plan that I showed you, that I gave everybody a copy this evening. We are showing the new single lot there at the corner. The intent is, like I said, to run 939 feet of sewer up to that point to a manhole, and then run a service across from under Kimball Street, and then, under Pond Street to service that lot at the corner of Hollis and Pond Street. Recently, Pond Street had been repaved. I had a chance to talk with Mr. Oliver about the condition of Pond Street and the fact that it has been repaved recently, and that obviously we don't want to be ripping up a street that's been repaved so close to now the proposed construction that we're doing here for the sewer. And so the thought that we came up with was to run the sewer down the southerly shoulder of Pond Street so we don't rip up most of the street there. And so we would have the one crossing for the service, the one crossing at Pond Street and Kimball Street, and then obviously when we leave Pond Street at the intersection of Prospect and Pond Street to tie into the existing sewer manhole at that rotary. And so what we're proposing to do in the areas that we would need to get into the new paved areas is we're looking at installing flowable fill in those areas. We'll pave it and then infrared seal those sections to better match the new pavement out there. Like I said, if you look at the plan, I show the areas, at least regards to the sewer main where that's crossing the new pavement at the intersection of Kimball and Pond, and then also at the end of Pond Street at the intersection of Prospect Street and hatched area, so that you can see what we're talking about, those minor areas that we're looking at having to get into the pavement. And then obviously we'll have to do some work also to get the service in there. We looked at the other side of the road also to do on the other side of the road, but the slopes and the utility poles on the other side of the street kind of limited us to do the other side of the street. And so that's why we chose this side of the street to show the sewer on. And when I spoke with Rob, he suggested that we come in front of the commission, have a conversation about this, and before we get too far down the road, to see what the commission's opinion on this before we, like I said, get too far and finish the plan. But that's the intent here, is to, see if we can run the sewer up to service this house. And I know one of the comments that Mr. Alba made was to leave stubs for the properties on each side of the road. And so you can see there's 4 properties on the northerly side of Pond Street, and there are 3 properties on the southerly side there. And so what Mr. Dobek proposes to do is to just leave stubs within that shoulder there for those properties. Obviously we'll leave the stubs, cap them, and then obviously if the homeowner in the future wants to extend there, they can extend there. But a large portion of that property, or that part of the northerly side, is one property. And so there's only really one service that would need to be, placed for half of that run. Along the northerly side and on the southerly side, it's that larger piece of property that I know there's been a number of plans in front of the planning board that never got approved. And so they would probably be looking more for a sewer connection than just a sewer service. But that's what we're looking at right now. Like I said, in a draft format, we wanted to obviously get the opinion of the sewer commission and have that conversation with the sewer commission tonight.
Thank you. I'd just like to open it up to the board, but before we do, I just have a quick question for you, Wes.
Shoot.
Why are you going down Pond Street? I think this commission would like to see you go down Kimball Street or Hollis Hills.
So we were looking at Kimball as similar fashion as the northerly side of Pond Street, where there's a lot more, there's utilities on both sides of the street. There's not a lot of way to get to the sewer in the shoulder there. And so we did look at both streets. It's actually a shorter run down Kimball, but there's too many things interfering there with other utilities on Kimball. So that's why we chose Pond Street, because we thought it'd be a easier construction to be able to run it down that shoulder.
What did you find on Kimball Street that's causing a problem? Like you said, it's not.
So there's a number of utility poles, and then also the layout on the other side. I don't think I show it on this plan, but we had done some work over in this area on other projects, and there are some other drains and so forth that we're running interference, and then also the slope along that side of Kimball Street. And so just constructability along that within the shoulder became very difficult.
The question I would have for Rob is, has that street been repaved, Kimball Street?
They both have.
I believe it has. But just to clarify, Wes, you're talking about interference if you run down the shoulder.
Correct.
My preference, and I know we talked about it, but my preference, ideally knowing there's other properties to be served, would be go down the center of the road. I know we talked about trying to avoid stuff. I think the goal here would be to service as many properties as we can.
Yep.
And I think that's why Mr. McDonald is asking about Kimball or Hollis Road.
Right, and so I think the concern there, and really I know the conversation we had before was if we brought it down the center of the road, you would be asked for the entire road to be milled again, or, so that there's no negative impact because of the sewer extension.
Right.
And so really then the cost becomes prohibitive if the developer has to, rip up that whole road and then have to mill the entire width of the road and then repave the entire width of the road. So, and that's why the proposal that we have in front of you is the way it is, to put down the shoulder. And so if there was a different way to do it, that we could put it in the street and then not have to reconstruct the entire road, yeah, I think the developer, the client would be willing to entertain some other conversation, so.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Has Pond Street been repaved?
They both have, yeah.
Street.
Yeah, and I think we missed it by, what, year and a half, 2 years, or something like that, and so it's, and I think usually there's a 5-year, and I don't know, Rob, if you guys have an official policy in
We
place.
do have an official
Is
policy.
it 5 years in the town?
It's 5 years, and then it's basically at my discretion what you do. And typically, I'm looking, in a situation like this, if we were to go down the middle of the road, I'd be looking at a repave.
Right.
Other roads with the crossings and such, then I'm looking for the flowable fill and, other means
Yep.
to shore up trenches.
And that's why we showed it the manner we did, because again, cost-wise for one lot, it becomes prohibitive at that point, so.
Right.
If we were talking 10 lots, it'd be a different story, so.
Okay. Let's open it up to the board. Brett, do you have any comments, questions?
Well, no, actually, it looks pretty straightforward.
Okay. John?
Obviously have been attending all the meetings lately. Is this going to be a privately funded?
Yes, they'll install it themselves, and then the sewer main, the 8-inch main, would go to the town, and obviously, if anybody ties into it, then you would collect fees on the tie-in from there.
Okay, I'm just curious, did you approach any of the lots that this is going to be running in front of to see if they're interested in?
We know the people in the south, that larger property in the south would be interested in tying into it after the fact, and so that's why we're not as concerned about trying to install the sewer so close to their property line, because I know they would benefit from this sewer line to go up there, but none of the other people are, like I said, that larger piece to the northwest of this main, I'm sure would be happy to tie into it, because it's maybe a little bit easier than having to cross that intersection, but.
Okay.
What would your preferred route be, Hollis Street or on Pond Street?
It's shorter to go down Kimball, but we're not sure if the construction would be easier. The slope of Kimball's steeper. And like I said, there's more utilities in Kimball that we'd have to run under, or run around. And so there's more services there too, because there's obviously a lot more houses along Kimball Street. So this actually is not a bad option for the developer. It's a little bit longer run-wise, but construction-wise, once it gets by the catch basin at the corner of Kimball and Pond, and the utility, I believe there's a hydrant there also. Once they get past those and the pole close to that intersection, everything else should be, there's no other interference there, so.
Okay. Well, my thought was, the more people, the more customers it runs across.
Yeah, and so, we looked at both options with the developer, and that's
Well,
what we
there's
were trying
plenty
to.
of people on Kimball.
Correct, but the problem is trying to get them all to sign on to it now and to offset the cost of repaving the road.
Sure.
Typically, people aren't going to do it until they're selling their house, is what's going to happen, is really on this one, is any of the butters to this are going to tie in when they need to sell their house probably, instead of having to replace their system, but they're not going to do it now.
Sure. Any questions, Mike?
Just to mirror what everybody else said, I see it as pretty non-invasive, but would preferably see it go by more properties, that's all. So
Yep.
the more people, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this little area that would, love the chance to be able to hook up, that's all.
Yeah, I agree, like Hollis Road, was it thought of to go down Hollis Road? Has that been repaved recently, that end of it?
Yep.
Yeah, and we didn't look at Hollis, because I'm not sure if the sewer goes all the way out to the intersection of Hollis and Prospect.
Yeah, it does.
I know
Yeah.
we know we had the sewer at the intersection of Prospect and,
Yeah, it goes right down Prospect.
okay.
Because it goes over to Elm, goes all the way to Elm, so.
Because, I'm just looking for us, and commission-wise, that would be a lot more customers that we could get on that, both of those streets. Now, would you leave provisions on the end of the stub of Pond Street, that if we wanted to extend down Hollis
Oh, yeah,
and Kimball, there'll also be a stub there, so we can
well,
extend down?
Kimball goes the other way, gravity-wise, so it's not gonna, You'd be able to pick up the corner there, Kimball and Pond, but you're not gonna be able to pick up anything else other than if they try pumping up at that point.
Excuse me. I think you mean if you move that manhole up,
Excuse me, could you come up here so we can hear you, the audience can hear you?
if we move that manhole
Don,
up.
you come in.
Up here, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you got a manhole like right there, I believe.
So if we move that manhole up to the intersection of Kimball's and
I'm
put a
sorry, could
stub
you-
off it for future
Could you
use.
introduce yourself too? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Don Dobek.
Hey, no, you don't? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because you got one right on the corner right there, a Pond and Kimball. But yeah, like you said, if you moved it more towards the middle of the intersection,
Exactly, and put a stub out and cap it, yes.
Right.
For future down Kimball.
Right.
We would do that, yes.
Any other questions from the board? The only question I have is that why you're putting in an 8-inch pipe going down by the...
Eight inches standard for a water main, 6 inches standard for a water service, so, I mean, sorry, sewer service and sewer main, so.
Speaking on my part of it, I would love to see it go down Kimball or Hollis. I'd rather see that, especially I know people in that area are in need of sewer. But that would be my, excuse me, that would be my opinion.
I was gonna, if I can piggyback on that, Wes, have you talked to Board of Health? Do we know, do the neighbors down Kimball or Hollis in that area, are you aware of problems with septics?
We haven't reached out to Board of Health for that
I
information.
mean, it would be helpful to know, I mean, if we've got neighbors, you know, who are in need of replacements if they're failing, or if there's a history of them failing there. Obviously, for us, this is an opportunity
Right.
to look at some sewer.
Right. And I guess the biggest thing is just the upfront cost for the developer. That's really the driving force here, because to get the other people involved with it, it's just going to be very difficult for them to get them to tie in and be able to pay their fair share of it. So if they're being forced by the Board of Health, that's a different story, but.
Well, I think, and again, to talk to Rob, I'd really like to see if you guys can talk to a couple of residents on Kimball and Hollis and just see how they feel before we go ahead and bring it down. This area's in the sewer district, right?
Yes, this area is, yes.
Don Dobek again.
Yeah,
We
I
would
know.
have no issue at all coming down Kimball if we could do the shoulder also and stub off for them.
Yeah.
Either way, doesn't matter. It's just, it comes down to basically the pavement, because if you go down either way, you're talking probably 250 ton of pavement, just to do an overlay without the patch, so.
I mean, either, now, on Pond Street, you already checked and see if you can bring the sewer down on the side and it wouldn't be a problem on Pond Street? I mean,
It's on pond now.
right, but the sewer, when you bring it down Pond Street, you're gonna put it in, on the side of the road,
Yes.
because that's a new road as well.
Excuse me?
That's a new road as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like I say, I'd just like to see him go back and see if we can get it down Hollis and Kimball, and in the meantime, Mr. Oliver, you can think about a solution as far as the paving part of it.
I can do that.
I mean, we want to work with you,
Yeah, we would have no problem coming down Kimball.
okay?
It just, I mean, no, either way is immaterial to us.
Yep.
And if the town benefits more coming down Kimball, that's fine. It just comes down to the pavement, which I think everybody understands that.
I just think that to be fair with everybody up in that
Yeah,
district.
no, I totally understand.
And you could be heroes up here too, and
Yeah.
help these people on Hollis Road and Kimball Street.
Mr. Chair,
Sir.
in the past, has the sewer department sent out letters to,
Yeah.
is that something that,
We did it when we were doing it.
right, I'm just saying, is it something that could be done in this case?
On a private extension, and I think that would be up to the developer,
Okay.
but we could send a notice out to everybody on the streets.
Well, just remember when the extension went down Lancaster Ave, I thought a letter came from the sewer department.
That was a privately funded too?
Right.
Would that be, it would be private installation, but it would become the town's sewer because it would be put in to your spec,
Right.
obviously.
Once it's complete,
Correct.
Mr. Oliver would accept it.
Correct, yes.
And you have a good engineer, he knows the
Yeah.
policies of town too. Mr. Reynolds, I think you're correct. If I'm trying to think back at it, when you had your sewer put in, even though it was a private extension, we had letters done
Right.
to make sure everybody in the neighborhood had a chance to tie in. So, Mr. Oliver, I think we should send a letter to the people.
They want to pick up the pavement.
So the town will take care of sending the letters out?
Yeah, so one question regarding Kimball Street, and so we have the water being close to being down the middle of Kimball. And so in the drainage, we obviously have catch basins along the side of the street. And so typically we have a 10-foot offset to the water.
Right.
If we don't get 10 foot, we have to 18 inches separation, and you're fine with that if we,
Yeah.
because it would look like if we're not going to be able to do it down the middle of Kimball Street, if it went in the street, it would have to go down the right hand or the easterly side of that street, I think would be, if it was in the street itself. Now, if we went down the shoulder, we'll have to check with the utility pole company, because there's half a dozen utility poles on the other side of the street.
Yeah, if you didn't have the 10-foot offset to the water line, I'd also want the water district to take a look at it to make sure they're fine with it.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
One thing I don't want to do is bury this in red tape, so I think the faster we can get going on it, the better it'll be.
Yeah, obviously, Mr. Dolbeck wants to,
Yeah, I mean, you want to probably do
Yep.
this right away, I would think, right?
be in this year, yes, exactly, yeah.
Is there a start date that you guys have?
No, there's no push. I mean, it'd be nice to get the sewer in this year. Obviously, with the building end of it, I wouldn't do the house till next year.
Okay.
It would be for myself, it's not to be sold. So it's not,
Okay.
So this is your property you're doing? Oh, okay.
I have one more question for the applicants. Wes, what's the total length? If we went, roughly, if we go down Kimball,
So in Kimball, I think we lose about 100, 150 feet, I can't remember off the top.
so you're under the 1,000 feet?
yes.
We're under
Yeah, like-
we're under 1,000 feet on this, too.
Okay.
I think it's
Yes,
about 100 feet less.
Yeah.
And there is a sewer manhole right at the bottom.
right at the intersection there.
So in the end, there's no DEP extension permit, it's just the as-built plan?
Correct, yeah, and local, and that's why even on the Pond Street one, we're at,
Just under?
yeah, we're at 940, or 939. So,
Okay.
I was going to say, the Pond Street one's definitely the longest.
Yes, yeah.
And Hollis Hill is obviously in the middle, somewhere, 400 feet? Hollis Road?
Yeah, I don't have that number off, but I know we looked at Kimball Street and Pond for the two options that we're looking at.
Okay.
Go.
So in review, guys, we're going to send a letter to the residents on Hollis and Kimball
Where would you be coming
about interest in sewer. In the meantime, Wes, you're going to look at what can we do, work with Rob as far as,
We'll take a look at the sites, the two different streets, and see what we can come up with.
I mean, at the end of the day, we may end up doing what you have to do, but
Right.
like I said, that's going to be Rob's call on basically what we want to do with the streets. But I think the commission, if I can speak for us, will all agree it should go down. Hollis or Kimball. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that letter won't have an open-ended date. I mean, I think there's a very definitive response date, so it's not something that would, drag out forever.
I agree to that, too. There should be a deadline.
I thought it was a 2-week or 10-day
But
response.
It wasn't much time.
Yeah. Well, also, didn't they solicit in person down your street, the contractor? I thought they solicited, because we were at the same thing, we're at that 1,000-foot mark. If we went another, a couple houses, we
Right,
would
well,
be
we kept it just below 1,000.
just below the 1,000, yeah.
It jumps into DEP
Yeah,
territory with you.
which Rob brought up, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commission?
No questions.
Guys? Aye.
So I guess one question for Kimball Street, obviously with the sewer being in the middle, if we could hug the shoulder of Kimball Street, is that, if we can get it to work?
I mean, I certainly consider that, because if we're able to.
Tie in more houses?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you run it down the shoulder on Pond, it really, I mean, there's no benefit to the town in terms of other, providing sewer to residents, except maybe future projects.
Right.
So I'm more inclined to consider it if that's what we're doing.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at it. Like I said, there's a lot more utilities up there that are going to cause issues over that street, so. And they're not 50-foot right-of-ways, so
Yep.
it's tight.
Now, just for another question for me, over on, if you're going up Kimball Street, the property on the left-hand side, that triangle, what's there now? Is that a buildable lot?
The large triangle there,
Not
lot
the
10?
driving range, the one south of Pond.
yeah, so there is nothing there now, no. No.
Is that a buildable lot, do you know?
Yeah, they've had a number of projects that have gone in front of the planning board and haven't really gone too far with it, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I said, I know for a fact there's problems over on Hollis and Kimball, so it'd be nice if we can give them some relief and
Right.
service for you at the same time.
Now, I know we can't do cross-country sewer, but for construction purposes, could we get temporary easements over that triangular piece that you were just talking about to,
Temporary easements?
yes, temporary easements?
Well, the triangle, on that big triangle piece?
Yes.
I don't think the town owns that.
No, I know they don't. But we know the landowner, so it'd
Yeah,
be
if
easier
you
for
need-
us to,
If you need temporary construction easements, I would imagine that, I'd have to reread the sewer regs.
okay,
I think that's just a construction easement. It's
Okay.
not a permanent easement for the sewer.
okay. All right, because if we can get the sewer to that side of it, and then if we just need the ability for him to be able to construct.
Are you talking about putting the sewer on the west side of the pavement?
We gotta see, the only reason I say is the east side, I think, slopes up.
Okay.
Those houses sit up higher on that east side, and that's what we don't want to get into, trying to play with those slopes along the east side if we don't have to.
Okay.
So we might have to stay to the west side and then bring stubs, leave stubs for them to come across.
Right, so you'd leave the stubs off the pavement at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, so, and that's kind of where we are, but we'll take that, we'll go take a look at the two streets, Hollis and Kimball, and figure out what we can do there, so.
Okay.
Okay?
The other thing too is if he did come down that way, we would still do that manhole, leave a stub for future going down.
Future going down pond.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Well, you're gonna need a manhole there anyways on Pond
Right,
Street.
but I'm saying we would stub out.
Stub out.
Right,
Yeah,
yep.
we'd push it over, yeah.
Yep.
Actually, would you put you put a manhole at the corner of Hollis and Pond Street as well, right? Yeah. Wes, maybe you can talk to Rob before you leave and set up the time, maybe you can meet him out there and walk it.
Yeah, I'll call, we'll take a look at it and then figure out what,
We can catch up tomorrow.
yeah,
That's fine.
easy enough, yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the board? Okay, any questions from you guys?
Nope, that was it.
Just want to make a commitment, let's get this done, and we'll work with you to get it done.
Thank you, guys.
For your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Try to keep cool out there, guys. Okay, current business. CTE, what we got, Rob?
So CTE has submitted the contract for the one-year extension, or the
Thank you, guys.
year 2 out of 3. We're just waiting, I believe, on some more paperwork from them, but the contract is signed. Actually, I think we have everything we need, but it's here for you to sign tonight.
Do you have a copy
I have the actual original
that we have to sign?
that you have to sign.
Any questions now? The contract for Empre was reworked. We added a couple of things that we talked about before, as far as the part of Rob's maintenance program going forward. So it's pretty neat, I think. I think you guys read it all. Does anyone have any questions on it? We did get it back from Chad, who approved it the other day. He had to get his insurance papers lined up, but he's still on the contract with us, so. So I'm gonna pass this down. Remember the days we did this? Everybody have a pen? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, John, can I borrow a pen and we'll-
Any questions on that while you're signing it?
Here.
Okay. Next one's Elizabeth Street, infiltration. What do you got, Rob?
So nothing's really changed there. I had signed and gotten a proposal back to the contractor. I'm waiting on them. Basically, I'm at their mercy to get it scheduled, but it's planned for. We've got a PO to move forward, so it's just a matter of when they're available.
Anybody have any questions on Elizabeth Street? Okay. The Fitchburg Sewer Use Ordinance, now that was sent, Brett and I and John worked on that. It went back and forth to the attorneys, it finally went to Fitchburg, and Jeff confirmed that he has received it. And if you want to update on that to us, Rob?
I have no update on the sewer ordinances, other than Fitchburg has it. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
Okay. 419 Whalen Road, request for a sewer connection. No more inquiries. Rob, anything since then?
We did have a Realtor who had come in asking about it. They were going to, after a conversation with them about how to access the sewer, we've gotten word back from town council that they can't access it through the existing paper street that's there, so they're trying to come up with another way. They were going to speak to this particular Realtor who says he has an approved purchase and sale with the seller. They're going to approach the property owner in front of them about possibly either a land swap or a land purchase to be able to get the frontage they need to run the sewer right through that frontage. So I haven't heard anything more on that, but that's where it last stood.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, next one is Bright Farms. Brett, this is for you. Any updates on Bright Farms? Bright Farms?
No, I have no update on Bright Farm. I really haven't heard anything since they came in.
We do have a request out to Adam Burney, who's on vacation, for any updates to update us. So, and we have communication going on with the planning board, just so you know, it's in your package. Planning board and the sewer commission has been sending back their minutes every month. So, and we've been getting theirs as well to try to keep us informed of what the other committees are doing in town. FY '21 budget, year to date. Anybody see the budget? Mike, did you see that? Mike Nault?
I'm just glancing through now. This is the first time I see it.
It looked pretty good to me.
It does, yeah.
Actually,
Seems
it
to be right in line. Yeah.
kind of looks very good to me, to be honest with you. What do you think of the budget, Rob? Any questions?
No, I think it looks good too. Apparently revenues are up, so that's good, more than was anticipated.
So,
And it looks fine to me.
so kudos to Barb for getting those numbers together for us. Any questions on the budget? John, do you have any?
No, it seems to be in pretty good alignment.
You know what, after COVID last year, everyone did an excellent job, especially Barbara controlling the numbers with all the things that went on with our department last year. Okay, minutes. I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes from 6/8, and there was only a few people here. Who was at the meeting? So that's Brett and Mike. I need a motion from one of you guys to accept the minutes. Brett and Mike.
I have nothing to add.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, I'm looking for a second to
minutes.
accept the minutes, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to propose that we accept the minutes.
And again, the only ones going to vote on this is
It's eight.
going to be you, Mike, and I. So I'll take the vote. Brett? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah,
You know, it's kind of warm. And I for myself. Jane, you're all set. I'm good. Oh, here it is. Oh, God, it's going to be a long year. Okay, business and managers reports. Rob, you want to do?
What did Barb want to say?
Oh, the electrical.
Yeah, so the electric panel at Electric Ave, CTE got that installed. It's working great by all accounts. So that's good news. The nameplates you've seen were prepared. They're in front of you. They look great. So I've got some invoices. Dave has already signed those as we were meeting earlier on. Howard Street, this is the 40B project. I've heard nothing more. I don't believe anything's been submitted to the town at this point, but I've yet to hear otherwise. As you know, Carl retired. As a commission, you gifted him a nice banner and a gift card for what I understand was a wonderful meal at Gibbet Hill Grill in Groton. Carl has sent a very nice thank you letter. Barb thought it was appropriate that we read it into the record since he gave so much time and so many years of service. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read it. Carl says, "Dear Barb, Rob, Jane, Dave, John, Brett, and Michael, thanks so much for the thoughtful parting gifts. The colorful banner will be hung in our garage alongside the work retirement banner already in place, a fitting tribute to 15 years of service. We had reservations at Gibbet Hill to celebrate our 50th anniversary last Saturday, man are we old, and it was lovely to enjoy dinner on you. These thoughtful acts of kindness will be long remembered. Carl and Phyllis. Luck." So, very nice. If you'd like to see it, we can pass it down. And 5 Chestnut Street response. And for the life of me, I can't think of what this is.
That was the 40B development that was going to go on Chestnut Street, the 40 units.
Oh, that was, right, that was no, it wasn't 40B, it was 40 units.
40 units, I'm sorry. So what happened was, Mrs. Bertram asked some questions, and that's our response back from our attorneys to answer those questions at that meeting.
Right, which I don't have in front of me.
Paula does, so if you
Okay.
want to call in, Paula, and get the questions. No, it's just that we're just finishing off what was requested from the commission.
Right.
Okay,
I got a question, Dave, real quick, on the electrical panels for Electric Ave. So when are we gonna move forward to do the rest of the substation, or the stations like that, or?
I mean, that decision hasn't been made. I don't want to just move ahead and do them all. I think maybe bang one out here and there. I think I want to know more about each of those stations before I make that commitment. I don't know, I don't have a full inventory on the condition of all the stations, so if there's other work that needs to be done, I don't want to just throw a panel in and, ignore other things. So I'd like to take some time and look at those before we do that.
Okay.
have you checked out the panel? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen the assembled panel, I just saw the drawings.
You may want to go out and take a look at it, see what you think.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'd just like to standardize everything, that's all.
Yeah, no, and I know Al was very happy with how it came out. It went in relatively easy. There were no real hiccups once they got it all wired up and going. If you want to go out and sometime, if you're available, I'll gladly go out and take a look with you.
All right, that'd be great, thank you.
Also, I think we're going to try to look and see if we can get the electricity on those pump stations on our solar partner. Do you know if we're on the solar program for those pump stations? I thought Bobby said that she was going to do it.
I don't know that it has been done. I don't believe we are. Barb's the ultimate authority on that, unfortunately.
And that's something we got to do, is start looking at how to save some energy on those pump stations.
Yep.
Okay, any questions on the business management reports that Rob did so great? No questions? Okay. Members' requests for future meetings and council hours. I'd like to put out there, and Jane, if you can do it, at our next meeting, we should start looking at our maintenance program to start seeing where we are on that. And any other questions? Brett, I thought you had something you wanted to talk about.
None at this time.
Okay. To bring up on an agenda item, I mean.
I'm sorry?
To put on for a future agenda
I will.
item. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Concerns?
Nope.
Okay. Rob, do you have anything you want to throw on for the next meetings?
No, I don't have anything for the next meeting.
Okay. Council hours, as we talked about before, we want to thank Adam for coming to our last meeting. It was good to meet him. Council hours are up. All you got to do is click on that link. If you want to make an appointment, just let the board know that you want to go see the attorney. But as you see, Adam was very good, and he's a good guy, and he's our partner on a lot of the stuff coming up. Okay. Coming down to public comment. Is there any public comment from the audience? I'm seeing none. Any public comment from the board?
No comment here.
John, no? Rob, anything?
I just have some other items to be signed, if y'all want to do that before you leave
For the
tonight.
whole board?
Yeah, we'll pass them down.
Before we leave, we got to sign these, okay? The only public comment I got is be serious for a second. I just want to thank everybody for the last year. It was a tough year for a lot of people, but we came through it, and I'm very proud that we came through it. I wish everybody at home a safe and happy 4th of July coming up. And there is something to celebrate, guys. The light is open here in Lunenburg, and we made it, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. So God bless everybody at home for what they had to go through this last year. Our upcoming schedule for the Sewer Commission activities, July 13th is going to be a 6 p.m. meeting. It's going to be, again, remember, remote participation via the Zoom. Same policies as we have, 6 o'clock start time. And then our next meeting will be July 27th at 6 p.m. regular meeting, Town Hall here, second floor. With that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay, a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, Brett,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Sound like I'm stuttering in. Mike. And an aye for myself. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Jane. Good night, everybody. Happy 4th of July.